But men do encourage each other to, like, do things that, generally speaking, women don't find attractive.
What if it's like how
like
men
mustaches?
Or how men all encourage each other to do stupid things, like that can get them hurt
Hey,
or
jump
dead.
over this.
Yeah, and then they know subconsciously, they're like, dude, you should jump over that ravine. That'd be so cool. Deep down, they're like, man, I hope he dies so that I can have his girlfriend or something.
Yeah. You can fly a plane.
You should run through that storm with this big metal pipe.
Yeah. What if we wrapped you in tinfoil and put you on top of a skyscraper during a thunderstorm? That would be really cool, though.
All right, roll the intro.
Evening, officer. Is something wrong?
Don't worry, son. Routine traffic stop. We got reports of someone driving under the influence. You know anything about that?
Oh, wouldn't it be me? I'm only under one influence.
And what would that be?
The influence of Jesus.
It's time for Under the Influence.
Yeah, we don't want to do anything to scare your children.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Under the Influence. I'm your host, Jude Crane, joined by your two favorite co-hosts,
Levi Tyson
and
Jenny Crane.
that's right.
Yikes.
Welcome back to another episode of Under the Influence. Oh, we're also joined by
Are we on? I didn't hear the intro.
a guy who refuses to wear headphones so he can't hear the intro.
There are no other headphones to
There
wear.
are
other
You
headphones.
offered me your headphones.
Because I was going to
because
grab
he
the
has
other
another
one.
pair.
Well, why didn't you communicate that?
He tried.
If this guy ever gets
We thought
married,
you were
my
just
goodness.
like.
You immediately shot me down.
We are joined by a guy blinded by his own charity.
By his own ego.
I was
by an
letting
egotistical-
you wear headphones. I thought I was doing a nice thing.
No,
Oh,
you're just
Well, give me
sorry,
headphones.
listener.
dumb.
Audio.
Quick little round robin, real quick. I'm passing some headphones over to our guest.
Our
Sean
horrible,
Mendes.
A guest
inconsiderate
we love
guest
very much and are very glad he's here.
that we sure you
All right,
all
I'm
will
plugged
like.
in.
Thank you for being here, Mr. Matthew
Broderick.
Connery.
Oh,
Connery?
Matthew Broderick.
It's been a long time since I've done by Connery. It's Canary.
It's conniving.
My mistake.
it's conniving word.
I'm Matt. He's a worm. We're joined by a bug.
You know, Matt, I have always wondered, why did you change the pronunciation of your name? Because your dad goes by...
Right. So my
Connery.
parents go by
Smith.
Connery and I go by Canary. My grandfather went to Ireland and found out that we have been pronouncing our last name incorrectly, that it is Canary.
Oh.
And he would leave messages on our answering machine that would go, "This is Charles Canary, Conniry." And it really stuck with me. And I decided, you know what? When I kind of go out on my own, I'm going to reclaim our last name. And so when I graduated from George Fox University and they kind of said your name, right when you go up there, the person asks you, they actually say your last name to make sure they're saying it the right way.
Right.
And they said Connery, and I said Canary. And they looked at me because they knew who my father was, and
Yeah.
it's Connery. And they said Connery, and I said Canary, and they're like, Canary? I'm like, yes. And so for the first time, to all my friends and family who were there for my graduation, they heard
That's incredible.
me announced as Matthew Canary.
Was your dad just, like, bewildered?
I mean, he had.
Write you out of the
Or
will.
did he already know about you wanting to
Well,
change?
his grandfather started
Yeah,
going by that,
okay.
so it's not like he'd never heard it before. But yes, they were all very surprised.
That's funny. I think it sounds better.
And actually, I know, like, there's a sort of a distinct moment in my life now. So if people come up to me and say Connery, I kind of know at what stage
You met them.
I've met them. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Canary is sort of anywhere down south in the place that we're at. I know you've talked about it. People will say my name as Canary.
I think it sounds better.
When I graduate college, I'm going by Cranny.
Yeah.
Judy
Why not
Cranny?
Jude Cranny.
Judy Cranny.
Granny.
Yeah, we have something similar, but it's about like how we can tell what era people met our dad. If people come up to him and say so like all of my mom's family and her cousins and all that, they all call my dad Wayne because when he started going to college and met my mom, he went by Wayne, kind of, I guess, just to separate the names since him and his dad had the same name. And I'm sure it was an independence thing too. I don't really know. But, well, maybe I shouldn't just
I'm
say
sure my
that.
dad was super insecure, so
No, I just know that he started going by Wayne, which is his middle name. And then a bunch of people met him as Wayne, and then him and my mom met, and they eventually got married and everything. So he was introduced to the Ray family as Wayne. So whenever we're like, which we very rarely are now, but if we're around some of our mom's extended family and stuff, they refer to him as Wayne. And I kind of have to go like, oh yeah, right, yep.
Wayne is his middle name, though, then?
yeah.
Yeah, it's mine as well.
And you go by the third, right? Since
No.
you just became independent.
No, I just go by Jerry.
Wow.
Sometimes J-Dog, Lil J.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nobody that I have ever met calls you that.
Really?
J-Dog?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds totally made up.
No, I would never go by J-Dog.
Do you have anything that makes you interesting, Levi?
Jeez.
Well, technically, I don't know how or why or when it actually happened, but it wasn't always pronounced Thiessen.
Wait, did they do TH?
What?
Did it
Yeah,
say-
Was it
there's
Thiessen?
other part of the family that does Thiessen.
Ugh.
Well, it should be. It's literally spelled with TH.
But that's not where the original pronunciation, like from the old country.
Yeah, I just feel
Saudi
like whatever
Arabia.
your name is, it needs to be pronounced phonetically. I don't... Somebody who...
Okay, Connery.
Fayasen.
What?
Okay, Connery.
Actually, I think
It's not... What are you talking about?
that would not be.
Wait a minute.
Connery.
Phonetic
Canary follows...
could be many different things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, but you don't get Thiessen from TH.
Sure you do. There's words with TH that are pronounced T.
Well, Tyson. You gotta breathe it.
What's his problem?
What's his problem? What's his problem?
What's this problem?
No,
what are
but
you
yeah,
talking about?
and so I've got other family that use the other.
That's cool.
Yeah.
You should excommunicate them.
So,
Yeah.
well, never mind. Stupid question.
What?
No, it was it doesn't
okay.
add anything to the conversation. That's funny.
I did though run into. I got acquainted with a group that already had 2 Levi's in it, so I became the 3rd Levi in that group, and it was very weird because I've never seen like more than one at any place, and like
Was that
not-
Costco?
no, it was at the Bible study.
Oh yeah.
Will you go by Levi T?
He goes by Levite.
Levi.
Levites.
You could just go by one of your 2 middle names,
Yeah, I could.
but you probably don't want to go by the one that is the same name as your dad because that would be confusing.
Yeah.
So you would have to go by Willis.
Well, my dad could go by
Willis?
his middle name, which just so happens to be my brother's name.
John?
Yeah.
John. Yes, my brother John.
I always forget about Levi's other brother John.
John, who's,
Byron, Caleb,
3
and
foot
John.
tall, blonde, green eyes.
He's 3 feet tall.
Yeah, John.
He's
I
John
mean,
the Hobbit.
that would.
John.
That
I always
would
forget
make-
about Levi's Hobbit
Jeez
brother.
Louise.
Sorry. Is Hobbit culturally insensitive now?
Didn't you guys have an
He's
episode
literally-
about
We had an episode on the M word. I
Yeah,
said
you gotta
M.
really articulate that, Levi.
that you were saying M as in milk.
Oh, I
Yeah,
did
no.
not even hear M.
Oh,
If somebody's
Not gonna
listened to
say
this
what other
episode for
letter.
the first time and not heard any of our others, Levi said the word M, or the letter
Yeah.
M as in milk.
we had an
people with
episode where we
dwarfism.
discussed whether it was okay to use a term that we've now learned is derogatory
Yeah.
for smaller people or people who are born with dwarfism,
The term is
Yeah.
midget.
and we don't call them that.
that's the bad.
Context, I'm not...
Okay, textually, that's fine.
Oh, cool it over there. Gomez or whatever.
Yeah, I might have to leave.
Yeah,
I can't have my
always
name
forget
my name on
that you're
this.
wearing lifts in your
associated.
shoes. Yeah, it's too bad, those of you that are listening, that this is an audio podcast, because you can't be graced by the beautiful sight that is someone who recently shaved their head, Jude. We've talked about this on the podcast before, but Jude recently shaved his head, and also Matt
Hold
is
on.
rocking a pencil stash.
I did not. Matt is rocking a pencil stash. I did not shave my head. I buzzed my head.
Look, I'm totally.
You're right. Sorry, there is a distinct
my
difference.
wife.
I don't have a shiny dome. I have short hair.
No, I do want to get something.
Yeah,
Make
but
something
why
clear
the
here.
eyebrows? Why'd you shave those off? It's
Well, I just
really
felt like it
bewildering.
kind of complement my
Yeah.
face.
Yeah, it doesn't.
It makes me look
face.
more like a gelatinous person.
Yeah.
There's no real definition.
Yeah.
It's all just kind of flesh. And
That's
that's kind
gross,
of the
man.
look I'm going for.
No, I want to get something clear here. When we were at church today, I was saying that Matt, I like the stash, and I was being serious.
Oh,
I actually do like it. I
That's
think it
insane.
looks good. It's funny
yeah, I don't.
because obviously I do think a regular mustache would look better, but I don't think that it looks bad on you.
Here's something that I think is a sort of phenomenon that happens primarily among women,
Uh-oh.
and I don't even know if they know that they're doing it. But studies show that men, by and large, prefer women have long hair. I'm not going to say that that's true of everyone, but everything. Wow.
Through his laptop.
So, yeah,
Across
Jude
the
pushed
room.
my stuff over here.
Whoa! I couldn't do that. I don't even have eyebrows.
But women with long hair is generally the preference of men, generally.
Right.
But if a woman gets a haircut, maybe they get it super short and they look like, Jude with the buzz cut. Women are going to come up and say, "Oh my goodness, I love that. That looks so good." And it's this sort of sabotage. And I don't know if they, because it's like, "Oh, I like that you have become less attractive to men."
That can't be true.
No, well, it could be. It could be true. Like,
you
not
think
even
A
maybe
subconscious,
it could-
like,
Well, it could
be
come
like
from
a
like
subterfuge.
subconscious.
what if
'cause
they
they're
see
like-
it and they think it doesn't look good and they're out of compassion, they're trying to like
Lie.
affirm someone. Like
Or-
or like
or-
they
or-
don't think it looks bad. I mean, they just go like they don't find it, attractive or think that they would find it to be something they would do, but they go, "Oh, like the confidence that you're showing and doing that, maybe they're trying to, out of compassion, affirm someone, and rather than
Well,
go,
or
This
or-
is totally speculative. Like, yeah.
or it's
Could they-
that feeling of now another person is off the market from.
that's what he
That's
was
what he
saying.
said.
No,
yeah.
I'm
But
saying
and then they're like, oh, I feel goodness about it. It must be because I actually like the haircut. But it's
And so
not.
gaslighting
I'm
themselves.
saying that maybe there's this sort of internalized subconscious feeling where women do like it, but the reason that they have subconscious appreciation for it is because it makes them comparatively more attractive.
Okay, question.
Yeah. And so that's what you're doing to me, though. Like, this pencil stash is
because
is terrible.
obviously you're married, so that couldn't at all be it. I think it looks good. I think you look good with a mustache. That's
I also
sincerely-
think he looks good with a mustache. Not this one.
Okay, I've never seen him with any other mustache. Would those look better?
You don't.
Sure.
You didn't see him with the other
You
mustache.
didn't see him? He did a handlebar once.
Oh, yeah.
I've never seen that. I'm just saying it looks good. However, you kind of answered the question now, but I was going to say, let's assume that's true about what you're saying with women and long hair and short hair. What is it that guys do then that would be similar? But I guess it would be compliment bad facial
Lie
hair.
about mustaches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it can't possibly be that because everybody else that you have encountered today or whatever that was talking about it was telling you it was terrible.
It would have to be something
That looked like you accidentally left some Velcro
less
on your
visual,
lip.
though.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, like, women are less visual than men are in terms of their appreciation. So maybe it's like
Throwing on an accent.
encouraging like
Bad behavior.
bad behavior. Yeah, maybe something like that.
Man, I really like that you drink and smoke a lot, Jude. Did I ever tell you
I
that?
like that you drink and smoke both while you're driving.
Yeah.
That is like a cool thing.
Well,
to do.
I started
Yeah,
texting while I do it
driving.
too.
Totally, like that's wanting someone to die.
that's a neat. That's a really cool. Neat
Jude,
thing
I
to
really,
do.
I really like that you stopped brushing your teeth recently.
That's
Dude,
cool.
Cancer looks good on you. I hope you don't get that chemo thing. That's what Lucy's-
gosh.
No,
I'm
you're
really
wanting
liking
someone to
the
die,
no
not-
deodorant natural vibe
Yeah.
that you're giving off.
Well, no, those are all physical things. They have to be something else.
Well, no, that's not visual.
I think the fact that you've started using a lot of bad language lately is pretty cool. That would
It's
be
cool
something.
that you're racist now. That's really
Dude,
cool.
everything we've said for the last minute, if clipped, is horrible.
Okay, but men don't do that, right? Men
Clip
don't
things?
encourage those things.
no.
No, men don't
So obviously
encourage
that's
each
not
other
what it is.
even when they look good.
Yeah, but men do encourage each other to like do things that generally speaking women don't find attractive.
What if it's like how
like
men
mustaches?
or how men all encourage each other to do stupid things like that can get them hurt
Hey,
or
jump
dead?
over this.
Yeah, and then they know subconsciously, they're like, dude, you should jump over that ravine. That'd be so cool. Deep down, they're like, man, I hope he dies so that I can have his girlfriend or something.
Yeah. You can fly a plane.
You should run through that storm with this big metal pipe.
Yeah. What if we wrapped you in tinfoil and put you on top of a skyscraper during a thunderstorm? That would be really cool, though.
Hey, let's go to an airport and
Maybe
see
you
who
should
can yell bomb the loudest.
Yeah.
Maybe you should go jump over that bonfire.
Okay, you guys, these are things that men do. Yeah.
That last one's one that
That
Jude
last
has
one
done.
is an actual
It's not a
thing.
bonfire. Like
was
a
a
bonfire.
big fire.
Yeah. Like 2 feet by 2 feet.
No,
by 2
it was
feet.
an actual big fire.
I can't
You
clear.
told somebody to jump over it?
I jumped over it.
Just because
well.
everybody else was.
Because it's fun. Have you never jumped over fire? It's
No.
so fun.
Of course I'm not jumped over a fire.
You need to put a parental advisory on right now.
Hey, don't. That's a good point.
Yeah.
I don't condone jumping over fire. Really? I was in middle school, dude. Look,
But you defended it every time I brought it up.
I've defended it because you say it as if I like shot someone's puppy.
No.
When it's like
You shot someone's
Jude, guess
puppy?
what Jude did in middle school? He jumped over.
What I'm pointing out
It's wild.
is like that. What I'm pointing out is less that you did it and more that you think it wasn't dangerous or wasn't
It was
like a bad
so
idea.
incredibly safe. One of the safest fires you could even jump over. Like
Sure. Okay. Maybe
one
that's
of the
true.
safest fires you could jump over.
Yeah. If
In
you
relativity
rate how
of jumping
safe.
Imagine the fire that you would if you had to pick. If you had to pick your like 14-year-old kid to jump over a fire and you had full control over the fire, all it had to be was 2 feet.
Jude is
by 2
entirely
feet,
misrepresenting
by 2
it.
feet.
It's funny-
Make it the safest fire you can.
Candle.
It's funny because Jude's
That's
not,
not 2
actually.
feet by 2 feet.
Jude's
Isn't
not
there
even
a
doing a bit
lullaby,
here. He's
like,
just lying
song?
because it was
I'm not
much
even
bigger
lying.
than 2 feet
Jerry-
by 2 feet.
Jack jumped over the candlestick.
Out of fear from me, imagines this 5-foot bonfire. Bonfire is not even the right word, and that's the truth. It was a campfire.
It's a wildfire.
It was a campfire.
wildfire.
Jude
It was
cleared
a campfire
national
intended for
forest
like
that
30
was on
people.
fire.
It was a campfire intended for like 30 people, and you were definitely misrepresenting it by being.
How
2
big do you
feet by
think a
2 feet.
campfire intended for 30 people is?
Not 2 feet by 2
a
feet.
zero.
No, I know.
0%
What do you think? It's like
contained wildfire.
8 feet?
No, probably like
you
3
guys
to
ever
4
been
feet
in a
by
wildfire?
4 to 5 feet, maybe.
Yeah.
It's pretty
I'll
big.
say 4 by 4.
Did you get hurt?
No.
No, of course not.
Oh, why?
I wouldn't
why is
ridicule
this
it.
even a story?
Because it's like this wild
It's just
thing
always
to
been this
Jerry.
thing that I've
Thought was stupid.
been disappointed in Jude for doing.
Because at the time, Jerry said, Jude,
Don't
while
do
people
it.
are jumping in the fire, don't do it. And all
Before Jude had shown interest, or before Jude like was committed to doing it,
Yeah.
I knew Jude would, and I was like, dude, it's a stupid thing to do. Don't jump over that fire because there were rocks and sticks around that you could easily trip over. Like I had
nothing.
been walking around that area and like rolled my ankle, kind of. So
Yeah,
I was like,
sorry. Jerry
I
had
was
walked
walking
around
around
an
and
empty
rolled
area
my
with
ankle.
sticks and rocks and broke both his legs.
No.
So I
but I
shouldn't
mean, like,
jump over
it's
the
easy to
fire.
step on a rock and your like foot turn, kind of. So I was like, Jude, if you run up and jump with that fire, in the last second you hit something with your foot, you fall straight in it. Then my brother just burned alive and I have to take him to the hospital. I don't want to deal with that. So I was like, hey, Jude,
He burned alive, and then you take him to the hospital.
yeah,
Yeah, while he's on fire.
he
I
didn't
mean
burn to
this
death. He
in
burned
the
alive.
most literal sense. But literally. And I mean that the way the word is intended to be used.
We all know that I'm the more
No.
overly careful.
I
one.
am literally a gazelle.
We get it.
So
Yeah.
you're
Okay.
using literally
No, and I'm using
as
literally.
a figurative.
I am literally a gazelle, and I would never get hurt by jumping
Hey,
over a fire.
your jump was impressive.
I know.
I just
even
didn't
use my
want-
legs.
Fire is an apex predator.
Not to the gazelle. Gazelles are at the top of the food chain.
No, I'm pretty sure the gazelle isn't an apex predator in any situation.
Pretty sure.
Wait,
it's not
does
even a
that make
predator.
firefighters the apex predator because
Ooh, that's
they're
true.
the ones that put out the fire?
Firefighting gazelles
quote-unquote
would be
apex?
the apex predator.
Firefighting
gazelles.
Yeah.
Bunch of gazelles with like
bound
extinguishers
into
on either side of their
bounding
body.
across the savannah with like tankards behind them.
You shoot a gazelle, it blows up because there was a fire extinguisher on the other side of it. Just poof, white foam. Obviously, it's not a big deal because you weren't hurt or anything.
No,
it wasn't actually.
me.
really
Like
big
every
deal.
other middle schooler, jumped over a campfire.
Well, it
presented
was
the opportunity.
It was my senior year, and a bunch of the juniors were jumping over this fire after our play, and because it was a big theater celebration thing, and so everybody in the play was out there, and then I saw some of the juniors doing it, and no offense to any of those juniors, that didn't surprise me.
and then you saw me ogling
And
the
then I saw
fire.
Jude
It was
just like looking at it. I was like, Jude, don't do it,
are
man.
they
It's not
doing
worth
it?
the
Like a
risk. How can
sixth
it be that
grader at
fun?
this time.
And then Jude like went, I'm gonna do it, and then he ran off. And
Wait. So were you getting encouragement from other people?
No, I don't even think
I mean,
anyone.
he was
the only
actually
person,
being
He
discouraged.
watched everybody
the
else do
only
it,
person
so
that
he did it.
mentioned the fire and jumping over it to me was Jerry, and immediately then I knew I'm gonna jump over.
Wait,
the
by
fire.
words,
You
yes, but everybody
planted
was.
it into his brain.
Yes, I planted into his brain, not the
So you
watching
did it.
4 people jump over it.
Jerry, you're just as culpable to this atrocity as he
know
is.
about
Probably
that.
right.
So you're like, Jude, don't jump over the fire. Only really strong
Cool
people
guys
Only
can-
cool
Yeah.
people jump over the
And then
fire.
I jumped over it.
But don't.
And like just as I was over it, I looked and I was like, don't do this. And then I
Yeah.
landed. No, I definitely didn't. Because I know that if I did it, I would have gotten hurt.
I have never jumped over a fire since then.
There are moments where you immediately regret your response to certain pressures. And I remember
yeah.
one when I was in at a family camp. I was young. I was probably 10 years old. And my dad was the pastor of the church. And so he was at this family camp, and we brought my BB gun, which is a little pump action BB gun. And you pump it up 10 times and that baby fly. But I had to put it between my legs to pump it because I wasn't strong enough.
Yeah.
But my dad went out with me, and all the little kids followed. And we were just shooting out into an empty space. And all of these kids saw this lizard way out on the rock. And they're like, oh, get the lizard, and my dad, he pumps it up and he aims it. And all of these kids are like, oh, can you get the lizard? It's way out on this rock, and he shoots it. And then you see this lizard just go belly up and start squirming.
He got it.
And this little boy looks at my dad and says, Pastor Chuck, you killed one of God's creatures. And
I'll do it again.
no, he felt so badly.
Yeah.
Was it one of the same kids that was asking him to do it?
Exactly. Yeah. It was like, there's no way. It was so far away, and it was one, surprising that he got it, but
Yeah.
when he did, it was this immediate regret, especially as this little kid recognizes that the pastor of the church just sort of arbitrarily killed a lizard, right? And he did. He went
For
over
no
there.
good
He went
reason.
over there and finished it off. So
It's like the scene in Napoleon Dynamite where all the kids are watching.
he put him out of misery, is what he said. Yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah. So think about your actions before you do them.
Yeah, on a camping trip, there were these chipmunks, they're an invasive species. And so
Yeah.
we took a slingshot and rocks and killed about 30 of them. And they did the same thing.
I think
when
we've
you hit
talked
them.
about this on the
Yeah.
podcast.
Who told you it's an invasive species?
Some other guy.
Some guy that really doesn't like
and
chipmunks.
like
Are they really
The-
an invasive species?
there are multiple invasive species of chipmunk. I don't know if chipmunk's the right word, but they're the little rodents that run around and stuff things in their cheeks.
There's certain ones that are
They were getting into our
squirrels.
food every night, and so we had this like a real. I still have the slingshot. It's the one where it opens up and you can put your arm through it.
Yeah.
and we just destroyed.
Did you actually get
army
any of them?
chipmunks. Yes,
Wow.
yes, and they.
I don't know if we've talked about this on the podcast, but it doesn't surprise me that you have, because you're apparently quite skilled when it comes to
shooting rodents.
shooting small game.
Yeah, I
Because
am.
One
Even with
time,
a crossbow.
Your hand
way back in the day,
Did
I
you
mean,
eat them?
No, we skinned them and kind of made like little hats.
Yuck.
I made
Tiny
a pair
little
of socks.
chipmunk yarmulkes.
Yeah, but I kept all the teeth.
No, you
Chipmunk
didn't. All made up.
yarmulkes.
But
It's
no,
not all made up.
no.
We killed so many.
You
of
used
them.
teeth.
No, everything. The skinning and teeth. We just threw them around after they were dead.
Oh,
This is
that's
terrible.
terrible. Why would you do that? You just like played snowball fight with a bunch of dead chipmunks.
we killed chipmunks. We didn't do anything. We just left the bodies when they stopped.
Oh,
My word.
What did you want to gather all the dead chipmunks and burn them? Like,
Yeah.
You're
or
like
bury them.
the
Throw 'em in the
original
river.
settlers who drove by and shot all the buffalo, and just left them.
no,
to
the
die.
buffalo wasn't an invasive species. The settlers were. I'm woke.
wow.
Well, we know
it
you
reminds
do
me.
that.
Back when we lived with our dad at this other house we lived at, this big house had like an attached like warehouse attached to it where we stored a bunch of business equipment and everything. There was a rat at one point that we had discovered kind of like going around through the walls, and you would just hear it, like, especially we'd be eating breakfast in the morning, you'd sit there and you just hear like tick, 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 skittering around in the walls.
I remember one time being in the garage and then like a pot and pan just go 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 go, and we look over and we just see this like big black rat just
It was a fat
run by
rat, too.
Yeah.
It was
like
huge.
away from
It's
where all the
easily the
pots
biggest
fell.
rat I've ever seen.
He was eating good.
Yeah. But then,
He was eating the poison, and it was doing nothing.
Yeah.
It made him stronger.
so we were sick of it, and we had tried everything, and finally, left with no other option, Jude decided to stay up all night long because we had seen, we knew there was one area that it would regularly traffic, and it was kind of against a wall. So if we were going to try and get it, with some sort of projectile, this would be a good spot. And so Jude stayed in a hallway all night long, like American Sniper, just
I was in
on
a
his belly.
children's play tent,
Yeah.
like an inside pop-up children's tent. I was
For
inside of
camouflage.
that. Yeah,
What were you armed with?
a crossbow,
A
real
handheld
hand crossbow.
I was building
that
up to
would
that.
puncture like it would go into you.
Right. Yeah.
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 It
Yeah.
would and it was like pencil sized.
Yeah, they were
yeah,
about pencil-sized
bolts.
darts.
Yeah, it was awesome. And I mean, needless to say, Jude waited for like 5 hours or something. And then all of a sudden, we're all just like, I was sleeping and we all hear, I got it! And come running downstairs. And my dad and I run in there and Jude's standing over it. And there's just 3.
No, the third
Bolts.
one missed.
Oh, you're right. Sorry, 2 bolting it to the wall. So
No.
like it through its neck and through its back, just like
Yeah,
it
not
was-
in the wall. I had heard there's a living room where we always heard it and sometimes saw it, or like kind of computer room ish.
Yeah.
And then there was a door that went into the commercial side
Yeah.
of the building, and I kept hearing it back there. And so I abandoned the tent, and we had a chest freezer,
Yeah.
and I just laid on the chest freezer with the gun. And then eventually, near this kind of unfinished wall part, right in between these 2 bins, I just saw it go in between them, and it like made eye contact, and I'm just lying there like on my phone,
like a
And
psychopath.
and it probably took like 8 minutes of just slowly moving up, grabbing the crossbow, pulling it back, putting the dart in it, and I
You
shot
weren't
it.
ready?
No, I didn't have the crossbow loaded with the bolt in it.
What?
I could have fallen asleep and rolled around and impaled myself.
You could have like put it beside the chest freezer if you're laying
No,
on
you
top.
made the good decision.
I
Don't
think
let
I
him-
made. Hey,
I
who
think you
killed the
made-
rat?
No, I'm just surprised.
I'm the man who killed
I
Bigfoot
think
and
you
then
were
Hitler.
being safe. I'm just saying, I've always imagined that you were sitting there the whole night with it pointed at that spot, and then as soon as you saw it, you went, pew!
No, I just slowly lifted it, and then there was this really intimate moment where I could choose to pull the trigger, and it went right through. The dart went into the ground
Yeah,
and pinned it there.
that's what it was,
And then
you're
it,
right.
blah, 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 blah.
And then the other one went into the wall.
The other one shot it and got it into the wall.
Yeah, so it was, very dead. It was very, it was kind of sad to look at, honestly.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I couldn't do
No,
that.
it felt
You
more
couldn't do
like
that?
winning a war.
You couldn't do that.
No.
You couldn't win the war on rats.
Dude,
I've had to catch mice before, but we use the traps that get them in there, and then I can go out
Yeah.
to a park and release them.
Oh,
we used
I
to
just-
melt them in bleach.
I have a distinct memory of my dad using a sticky trap, and you can't really get him off of that.
No.
And so I remember him going to the side of the house, and then I just hear whap,
Yeah.
because he just smashed it on the ground to kill it
you guys
And it
in the
bothered
church
me.
parking lot.
so much.
in the house after where we
gonna
lived with our
say,
dad, where
If you
Jerry,
don't like
Levi,
that
and
story, don't listen to this next one.
Dude, I don't even kill spiders.
I know,
know,
you told
yeah.
me that.
Wait,
Lame
what do you
news.
do with spiders? Do
You
you
just
just release
catch
them?
them and let them outside.
Wow, what a person.
Even like a poisonous
It's
one?
not their fault they're ugly.
Yeah, he wouldn't kill you. I only said that because I was like, Matt's about to say it. I got to get to it first.
yeah.
I wouldn't say that on air.
I once thought that my parents sold our car because I accidentally released a spider in it.
What?
So
Your parents sold a car because
So-
you released a spider?
So when I was a kid, I was super into insects and spiders and everything. And my brother had massive arachnophobia.
you
and-
strike me as someone who probably ate a lot of bugs.
No, actually.
Oh,
Not
you got
that
the
much.
What was
about
that
you.
weird thing that you said you did
He
eat though?
ate cobwebs.
spider webs.
Yeah, spider webs.
ate spider webs?
Yes, they are.
That's
oddly
You were
so
just
much
one
worse.
step not quite far enough there, Matt.
Yeah.
So much work.
No, yeah, I remember on the playground we would like collect it
Dude,
and then
spider poop.
Well, that's not poop.
it's not poop.
Close enough.
It's from their like they have a
Web sack.
It's
But
one thing to like swallow a roly poly, but to be like, I'm gonna get up into the corner and eat this web.
It's like cotton candy.
Yeah.
It was extra good. We would do it in the early morning when the fog was in and there was like some dew on the spider web.
Wet?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Oh, this is a great year of spider
You know what's
web.
better than a spider web? A slimy one.
You know, spiders have have a panic breakdown if you destroy their web. Like they'll
That
go into a
makes-
depression.
Hey, I just built my home. Did you know if you blow up a spider's house, it has a panic attack?
Jeez, I'm like, I don't like killing spiders, and you're like, I like to play psychological warfare.
I'd like to eat their
Well,
house.
I didn't know
I
that
like
while I
to
was
rob
eating
them
their
of
webs.
everything that matters to them.
But no, yeah, so I had caught one at my parents' work. And on our way home, they were like, okay, put it in the back of the car, my little cage thing.
Oh, okay.
Because they didn't want me to like have it in my hands and like it like roll over. But then they had it in the back of the car, so it's gonna roll over anyway. I don't know what the decision was on that, all that.
Maybe they
but
didn't want you to get bit.
Maybe.
Was it big?
It was like it looks like either like a wolf spider or brown recluse or something.
Well, then yeah, that's a good idea not to get bit by that one.
But in the back of the car, I go to grab my little insect carrier thing, and I noticed that the top was open. And then I'm just like, I'm having a breakdown because I just lost this
Your best
creature that
friend.
I had just like captured,
Yeah, your little buddy.
like it was my property. But now it's gone. And I was like looking around in the truck or the car, the SUV for it. And then like a couple weeks later, my parents had to get rid of it and got a new car. And I was 100% until like a couple years later or quite a few years later actually, when I went back to think about it. And I was like, they probably didn't sell it just because I released a spider in it.
Oh.
But that's
But for,
what I
like,
100% thought.
So much of your childhood, you never went to rethink. So it was just the memory of,
Yeah.
my parents sold the car.
My
'cause
parents
I lost
sold
a
the car because I lost a spider in the back.
I find it funny that you're like, if you break a spider's web, it'll have a panic attack. And you're like, this spider I had captured and saw as my slave escaped. And so I was, freaking out.
Yeah.
You're crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're cool.
We want to talk about our trials and tribulations with the rat. It was a mouse, I think.
It was a mouse.
Yeah.
We can, real quick.
Well, there was a mouse.
There was a mouse at our...
Your mafia hit?
Yeah, when
Dude.
Jude, Levi, and I lived together with a buddy of ours, Jarrett. There's just a bunch of food, obviously, in the pantry, and at one point we realized that there was like little, nibble marks in some of the stuff, like flour was spilling out and cereal here and there, whatever. I'm like, okay, well, we got a mouse, and there's clearly droppings. We got to deal with it. So we started getting traps, and that didn't deal with it. And I kept seeing it, like where my room was, when my bedroom door was open. If I was on my desk, or on my desk, on my computer, like sitting at my desk, if I looked to the left, my door was open, I could see right down the hall into the kitchen. And from my perspective, at the end of that hall, the fridge was on the left, the pantry was on the left, and then to the right was the rest of the kitchen. And so if something were to crawl along from the kitchen into the pantry, I would see it. And there were some days where I would have my door open and I'd be sitting there, and in the corner of my eye, I'd see like a little blur go by, and I'm like, when there's nothing there, and then there's movement, your mind is just like, what? Am I going to die? Or, And so I looked over, and every now and then I'd see the little mouse running back and forth. So we definitely knew we had one. Sorry, my sister's calling me.
That is an amazing picture.
That's my sister with a giant beard. And
I'll post the picture in the Discord later. So we definitely knew we had one. So we had some traps. Didn't do anything. The thing was smart. It would eat the cheese and the peanut butter and stuff clean off the trap, and nothing would happen. Yeah. Poison didn't work. So there was just one night where I was in my room and Jude and Jarrett start yelling, like, Jerry, get in here quick.
we got him.
And there was a bin that had been in the pantry that had one of those like lids on it that like fold together. So like one side goes up, the other side kind of goes down, and it does the reverse on the other side. And so you fold it over to kind of lock it in place.
Plastic bin.
Yeah. And they're like, it's in the bin. It's in the bin. We got it. And we're like, oh, what do we do with it? Like, and I hate mice and rats. I just despise them. They're gross to me. I'm sorry. And we're like, I don't know, man. We got to get rid of it. So we lived across from a church, a fairly big church.
Big parking lot.
Yeah, actually, Chad used to go to this church.
He did.
All right.
And big parking lot. It's the middle of the night. We pick up the bin, and we're like, we need weapons or something to kill it with. So Jude grabbed a snow shovel. Jarrett grabbed a broom, and I had this weird cleaning tool,
Like a squeegee.
like a squeegee cleaning tool thing that like bent in the middle. And so the three of us, have you seen the movie Office Space? Or like, have you seen the clip from it where they all go destroy the printer?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that's what we felt like, because we've got these ridiculous makeshift kitchen, weapons, and one of us is carrying a crate, and we walk across a busy road, go over the parking lot, we're like, there's too many lights here, we don't want anybody to see us. So the church had auxiliary parking in between like some houses that was just like a little gravel parking lot, so we took it over there, and we just waited, and then released it, and then we all tried to hit it and kill it, and then it eluded us for like 10 minutes, just running around.
It was like,
Well, why wouldn't you just let it go?
I don't know.
he had taken too much from us at that. It's like if a dog eats human flesh.
It would have come back. We're not that far away. It would have just come right back to the house. They're not that stupid.
We're literally
Are
across
you
the
sure?
street.
I mean, I've gone places and released rodents, and they'd never come back.
We were just
because
we
you
were
just
like a
release them
block
into
away.
another person's house.
Not
Like,
even.
Why did
Not even a
Why
block
did
away.
you go farther away and release it?
We were in the middle of the city. I don't know. I don't want to release it on somebody else's
I think
house.
our
You just
hearts.
wanted to
I don't want to
kill
release it on somebody else's house. We're in the middle of the city. Like there's houses everywhere. Where would we go?
To a park?
It's been domesticated. It won't survive in the wild.
No, that's stupid.
So we had to kill it.
They were just bloodthirsty
I
monsters.
know, aren't they?
were.
They're bloodthirsty.
No, Levi
really
loves
are.
this story. He was sad that he missed it.
I was
Funniest part
extremely sad that I
About
had
the
missed
story
it.
is that
No, I don't love killing things.
Right.
I just love watching them
definitely
die.
don't.
Sure.
No, because it felt terrible afterward.
Yeah,
felt
yeah,
terrible
sure
when
you
my
did.
foot came down on that thing.
Is that how you killed it?
It was doing the thing where it's dead, like it's not going to live, but it's convulsing.
Oh,
Oh,
God.
dude. Okay, we don't have
Don't
to
you
get into that
remember?
much
Your
detail,
least
dude.
favorite part was how it, tomatoed out.
And remember how you all were laughing maniacally afterwards?
We definitely were not.
Yeah.
And you're like, should
Dude,
we
when
eat
they
some
were
of its
telling me the
organs?
story, they were all
The thing, Matt, the thing that's funny about the story is not at all the fact that we killed a mouse, and I didn't get to it. The thing that's funny is the fact that when we go out there into the parking lot, we set the bin there, and the three of us are all readied with weapons, and you'd think it would be something crazy, right?
Yeah.
Like we found a rodent of unusual size, or a nutria or something, and then we're like, go. Jude kicks the thing to the side, and a tiny little mouse comes out. And so
way smaller
all the
than a
people
rat.
driving down Market Street, are just looking over, and we're
these
like,
guys bashing the ground.
and so that's just what's funny about it. And it's very reminiscent of a scene from that movie where they all take this
printer
3D
out to a
printer out to a
field.
field and
I mean, if it's
destroy
gonna
it.
die, it's a better way to go than I was telling you about those humane traps that I use because I'm not a
monster.
sociopath.
Yeah.
And I forgot that we left one in there and we hadn't checked it forever.
Oh, you
we went out there and
That's
my
definitely
wife
worse.
found a mouse that had been there for a long time that starved to death. Yeah. My son was very sad about that.
Why did he know about it?
I think he was out. My wife was out in the garage with him, and then she picks it up and sees it, and he sees it right then, and yeah, bad way to go.
That last story is definitely not the worst way I've killed a mouse, but I won't tell you.
Oh, there are horrible ways that Jerry
I
has
mean,
killed
like
mice.
real.
There's one other mouse I've ever
No.
killed. Don't say it like I'm a
Yeah.
serial mouse
And it's
murderer,
like,
torturer.
How
the
he
war
discards
crimes
the
called?
bodies.
Breaking the Geneva Code. It's definitely we did
No,
that. To a
no.
mouse.
It was only a double.
It's not at all out of malice.
It was
put
just
a
a war
mouse
crime.
out of its misery that had gotten into some poison.
Okay,
Uh-huh.
there's a mouse in your pantry.
Okay.
You guys finally catch it.
Okay.
You decide
the
to
next
go
time this
across the street to a church parking lot in a
Holy ground.
specific area where you can't be seen, so that you can
Just
bludgeon
to
a
not
mouse
look
to
ridiculous.
death. And you're like, but not out of malice.
We only did it out
I
of
think
out of
you're speaking for yourself. I can speak for Jarrett and I 100% and say it was out of malice.
Oh, okay.
We're so mad at the rat.
Yeah, we were
was it?
mad.
Was it for joy or what was it?
No, it wasn't
I
for
feel like
joy.
malice is almost a better reason than like.
It's not
because
for
I
joy.
liked
It's it's out of duty. It's out of duty.
It's a duty. It's a responsibility to your country, dude.
No, but it's out of duty. It's like to
Ask
Did
not
you say the
end
Pledge
a
of
menace.
Allegiance before you
what
did
mouse your country will kill for you. Ask how many mice
it? Did you sing
will
the
kill for your
Star Spangled Banner before you
yeah,
did
absolutely, yeah, yeah.
That would have been a better sight. You guys
Just Homelander
standing there with
laser
your hands over your chest.
Like that scene in The Office where the Olympics or whatever, the Office Olympics,
Yeah,
they're all standing there singing. No, I think it's just more to be like, it has been a problem. You know, it's been laying waste and ruin to our home.
And we have one solution.
It was
we're of-
eating all of the
our final
stale cereal.
No, we have one thing that we can do to make sure it doesn't come running back and eating it again. So
The funniest part of the story is that we weren't sure because like a lot of the food we found had been chewed through, and we weren't sure, was the rat still here, or was it just like a rat that came in and left, because I do that sometimes. And then the droppings gave it away. Turns out, whole time, the droppings were just Levi.
yeah,
Levi was licking
tiny
the
little-
traps clean, and
We did have a really
He was
bad
licking the peanut butter off the mousetrap.
we had a really bad ant problem, and I lived on the second story.
for a brief stint, yes.
And would like bring home like a little thing of food, eat it, and then I would just leave my trash in my room, and then I would take it down like later after some had
Like
accumulated.
3 weeks later.
Not 3 weeks.
How much
But it was long enough time that the ants found it, because the ants were everywhere in that house. It was awful.
Seems like you'd want to take care of your food then sooner than later.
I don't remember the ants being that bad in that house.
or
But
my room.
maybe
you know,
because
that was pretty good. One winter, it got bad.
Well,
Other than
they
that, it was
literally
fine.
maybe just because I'm used
maybe
to ants always
not
being
on
around.
the first floor, but if in the backyard there was a post that was black because there was all these ants that would climb up the post. But I found them in my room. There was a big ton of them, and I didn't have anything to deal with it really. So I just
You
like
ate them, didn't you?
Just started eating them.
No. But you know the
You wrapped them in a
pheromone that
spider web.
happens when you crush an ant? That like smell?
No.
You don't
I
smell that?
You know the ant crush.
No, you don't
smell?
kill ants, do you?
No.
Well, like you were a child at some point. You know the ant crush smell? It's a
No,
potent
I don't.
smell.
It's a
It's
very
a very
distinct smell.
distinct
It
and
smells,
potent
it's like
smell.
a bad Sharpie.
Like with
So,
your finger you crush
like
them?
when you kill one, it's got like
Do you need a barf
couple
bucket, man?
foot radius that you
Do
can
you need a
smell
barf
it.
bucket?
No,
You look disgusted.
I don't know what the smell is, so
That's
is it
so
really
weird.
strong?
Yeah.
It's like
Hey, listener, let us know if you know the smell.
yeah,
of
if
crushed
you know
ant.
the
You
spell,
should.
It is. That's a good way of describing it. It is kind of like a magic
It's like a
marker,
Sharpie,
kind of.
almost
No,
chemical.
I used to kill bugs all the time when I was young. I just don't remember killing a spider and knowing, or an ant, and
Ant.
knowing what it smells like.
It's
No,
just
yeah,
like,
but-
it's really like you could be right here and be like a foot away from it or whatever and kill it, and it carries. It's got a really strong
and it
smell.
sticks on anything. But that's a feature that they do,
Yeah.
so that they know, oh, that is death. So I'm gonna avoid death.
Okay.
So me knowing that, I took some tissue paper and I just started crushing, smashing and smearing.
If you make a little ring around the area you want them to avoid with the pheromones, then they won't go there.
Yeah.
Or with
So
salt,
I did that
like
across the
around the
entire
house.
floor and wall where they were crawling on in my room. Like I had moved furniture and just went.
That's a lot more involved than I thought.
Oh yeah, dude! It was incredible,
You had to kill like 1,000 ants
and
to get enough
the
juice.
smell was so pungent. And
You
then
like it? It's like a good smell, like
No.
gasoline.
no, it's horrible smell.
It's
I
not
hate
good.
the smell, but the ants hate it too, and that's why I endure.
But all the ants that were in your room were then trapped in your room because then they'd go to leave.
There
and be
were
like,
when I started doing that, all of the other ants, like as the draft would like the fumes would hit them, they would start freaking out. It was weird.
yeah, because you know what they're smelling? Gore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then after that,
They just smell the inside.
I never had another ant in my room.
Even at different houses.
All it takes is
No, but
total
I
massacre.
also went over
Very good.
certain areas with bleach. To, like,
I mean, if you
clean it
knew
up.
what crushed human beings smelled like, I wouldn't go near it.
Yeah. If I like,
if there are strong enough
Smeared
smells of any
1,000
variety, I tend to avoid that area.
Yeah.
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 But it was effective.
It was effective.
All right. We're pretty far into this already, and we've talked a lot about some pretty ridiculous things. But we do have Jude apparently has a bit of a story for us.
I'll do.
And I have the sound effect this time. So if you're ready.
On route with Jones.
All right, guys, it's me, Jude. So what happened was,
Go ahead.
I sound like him, though.
Yeah.
It's
That's what I was saying.
uncanny.
I thought that
Yeah, the
I
audio
wasn't looking. I
listeners,
thought
they
that
don't
was
know.
Jude.
Yeah, yeah.
That was
No,
actually
no one
our
knows.
guest, not me speaking.
I
I'm a
didn't
big
even know
fan
when I
of
was in the room right now.
overpriced drinks on my route, like Starbucks and Dutch Brothers. And there's certain Dutch Brothers I go to like habitually, and then some that I never go to. But I went to one I'd never gone to this time.
Also
and-
habitually?
Yeah, just because I never like
You just purposely avoid them, or?
I guess not purposely, but
Oh, okay.
I guess maybe
just
it's not
by
habitually.
circumstance. Okay. I thought you were like saying there's somebody there that you don't want to see. So
No, I don't know anyone that works at Dutch Brothers.
Yeah.
But when you go to Dutch Brothers, we all have like an image of the type of person that works there, the variety of people. They're very cool. They dress very cool.
But yeah, I mean, they hire a specific type of person.
Yes.
I feel that way more about Dutch Brothers than Starbucks, but
That's
we're
what I
saying.
was talking
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Weren't you saying Dutch Brothers?
Yeah.
I said
Yeah.
Dutch Brothers and Starbucks.
Well, I just get overpriced drinks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Starbucks is a little different, but Dutch Brothers has a
It's got cool guys and gals.
the surfer bro wannabe kind of
Dude, yeah.
You know, and
so
then-
this one I'd never been to. I had a certain stop off, so I took a different street to save time, and there was a Dutch Brothers I'd never even seen, and so I pulled into it because I had saved a lot of time, and I was waiting for like 5 minutes, and I was just gonna like get a surprise me Rebel, which is just a blended energy drink, and as soon as I pulled up, it's super small, and the only people inside are 3 dudes, and they are all like 6'4", jacked reverse triangle, like legs the size of Levi, and then
of Levi's
They all
legs.
skip leg.
yeah,
day.
and then Dwayne the Rock Johnson on top, and they're just walking around,
Wait.
bumping into each other, like
Legs. Each of their legs are the size of Levi, or each of their legs are the size of Levi's legs.
small legs, and then everything gets
Yeah, they all skip leg
exponentially
day.
bigger. They're an upside down triangle.
Insane.
They're just like jacked,
Incredible.
massive, top heavy guys.
like as big as me or almost bigger.
Like, I mean, not as big, but you know,
Right, yeah.
rippling muscles, and I'm like, just not like and they're wearing like the workout tank tops,
Yeah.
and like the short, or there's like the inseam shorts or whatever. They look like they came like straight from the gym. These hulking dudes. He's like, "All right, dude, what can I get you?" And I was like, "What's good?" And he's like, pretty much everything, man." And I was like, "All right, cool. I'll just take a Rebel." Is like, "What's your favorite thing?" He's like, "Dude, I have so many custom drinks." And then he just starts listing off all these like wild names. And I'm like, "Oh, what's that?" "It's just watermelon and apple." And then here's icy hot. And it's like, whoa, okay. And I ended up just getting like a...
With
Which
real
is-
icy hot.
yeah.
It's toothpaste and orange juice.
Drink up.
He does a Shaquille O'Neal impression when he serves it to you. And I just ended up getting like a strawberry lemonade
Stupid joke.
blended thing. And he handed it to me and he's like, "I've never made this one before. Tell me how you like it." And they're all just like, bumping into it, like top heavy guys. And so I take a sip of it.
Inflatable guys.
Yeah, pretty much. And I set it back at the couple and I go, "Oh man, that's pretty awful. Not gonna lie." And it was really good. And then
It was good?
It was good, yeah. I was just joking.
Oh.
But the immediate shift in like happy go lucky, like to like heartbreak. He was just like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I can make you another drink. I can give you a refund. Like you don't have to keep that. You can give it back. I'll toss it or whatever." I was like,
Some people just like sarcasm that you
Yeah,
do so much.
it was
just
very
bounces
dry.
right off of them.
I destroyed the energy in the like,
Oh my
5 by
word.
5 foot Dutch Brothers that these 3 guys went. They all just like,
oh no, Connor, man.
Dude,
That's
Thad,
terrible.
you made him a bum drink, dude. And I was like, I'm just kidding. It's really, really good. And then, like, the drop of a hat, just like the music came back on. They're like, oh, dude, you totally got me, dude. I thought it sucked. I was like, no, it's really good. It tastes just like strawberry lemonade. It's like, that's great to hear, man. You have a great day.
Oh.
And I was like,
I can't
I'm
see.
always coming back to this.
That's amazing.
It's just these three hulking dudes who are like the nicest,
That's
not
funny.
Dutch Brothers cool, but like real cool.
But they really don't mess with
Like, I
dry
wouldn't be
comedy.
surprised if I peeked in the window and the only non-visible part of the Dutch Brothers like had just like a bench press. like
I don't think you don't. Sometimes you can't take a chance on sarcasm when you're at a job.
When you're
You know what I
working
mean? Like if you say,
yeah.
"Oh, it's
Oh, I
pretty
see what you
awful,"
mean,
and you're
yeah.
like, good one, man. See you later."
But
And
there's some
it's, like,
people-
actually awful.
there are some people that give off the vibe that no matter what you do, they're gonna be like that, and that's what I got. Like, they're gonna like laugh at anything. Like they're just
Yeah.
gonna be cool.
Yeah.
And then I said it, and they were just just distraught.
Well, the way Drew's describing it, it's a little bit more than just that, though. They were heartbroken.
they were literally like his
they can
face
take him
went
seriously
from
and be like, "Oh, I'm sorry you feel that way. I can get you a new one." But it sounds more like they were like,
Well, I think about it like, what do you like? And this guy's like, I'm gonna give you, like, kind of my reputation.
no,
is a
he
little
didn't
bit
give
on
me.
this,
He
right?
listed off his weird,
I have been
good sounding
that guy
drinks.
before, though. I've been in the exact same situation, just not working at Dutch Brothers. I've served food
And
like
you
my
have
entire
heartbreak.
life, and I've had people tell me that it's
Yeah,
bad.
but you're not deeply invested in people, and you don't, generally speaking, like people.
right. That's true. Go ahead, Jude.
I didn't even get one of his custom orders. It was hot. And I was
Yeah.
like, do you have anything lemony?
love
And he's like, I've got, like, we have a strawberry rebel I can put lemon concentrate in. And I was like, that works, dude. And so we made it. That's why he's like, I've never made this before.
I've never made this before.
And I was like,
go. How
that's-
is it?
I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty bad. He's like, oh, I'm so sorry. You can, I'll give you your money. You want a new one? I'm so sorry. I'm
That's
just
what he
kidding.
did?
Oh, dude, you got me.
That's
Yeah.
amazing, though.
It was. I'm always
Dude, I
gonna go
love
to
that
that.
kind of energy.
That's
It was
funny.
very cool. I felt happy leaving. I was like,
So
that
did
was-
you get his number?
No. Yeah, and then I looked on the
He
bottom
went
of the
for a
cup.
rebel, left with an
It was
autograph.
like name's Thad, and then his Instagram was there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a sticker. It was cool, but that was just. I was like, that was a nice little en route.
That is
memory.
fun.
And now you're gonna go to that one all the time.
Yeah,
You're gonna go out of your way.
those guys are cool.
Yeah.
They're
They
gonna
sound
start
pretty
giving
cool.
you their numbers.
Did you actually get any of their names though? Because you keep saying Thad.
Well, they look like Chad Thad and
yeah.
Ecthelion.
Thad
Chad, Thad, and
Ecthelion.
This is Chad, that's Thad, and I'm Osgiliath the Conqueror. Like, all right.
Oh, that's funny. Cool. That's a good story.
Yeah, that's the best you've told.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, I don't enjoy your stories, but I did like that.
Wait,
all right.
I'm really sorry.
You're supposed to get really sad. Oh, you can take that story back.
Well, we've got
another story.
I keep getting messages here from the guy in the chair. Sorry to interrupt you, Matt, but he keeps.
He keeps putting something in the Discord.
Well, no, he's trying to derail us a little bit. Well, actually, he's trying to keep us on track because we do have a clip here that he wants us to listen to. So, Matt, I know you're hearing this for the first time, but he had mentioned to me, the guy in the chair earlier mentioned to me that you would have some good insight on this one specifically. So, if you guys are ready,
And I'm going to hear it now because
you are going to hear it now. Yeah,
Headphones.
Or at least you should.
yeah. If you don't hear it, we're not hearing it. Then I got to fix it.
What's the title of this video?
The title is it's only got like 7,000.
Well, don't say the
read
title. Just
Don't read the title?
let it.
Don't even read it for myself.
Do you want me to explain what it will be about?
No, let's just
No,
watch
we
the
just
video.
watch
We'll just
it.
watch it.
Go,
My
go,
bad.
play.
I derailed it.
Way to go, Jude. Here we go. And boom.
Thank you tonight. I appreciate you very, very much. God bless you. You wanted to say something?
To the Calvary Chapel. Hey, you guys know me as the few that are here from Calvary Chapel as Pastor Scott. It's good to see a few of you over here and then a few of you in the back and over on the side. I just wanted to say that, yes, I did talk with her last night, and I didn't know much about her ministry. She was kind enough to give me as many materials as she could on the spot, and her men were perfect gentlemen to me inside. And for the rest of these 7 days that she's here, any of you that come and any of our friends that come, we need to be deeply respectful. We need to show an intense love to them. But above all of those things, we need to spend all of our time at the deepest place of prayer, praying that God indeed would protect all those who hear this false message that comes from her lips. Because God's message is not miracles, but that the shed blood of Jesus Christ would cleanse humble sin.
Can I ask you a question real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In this clip, so for those that can't see it, I hope you can hear it. It's a guy that's borrowing the mic from a woman who looks like she was speaking. Is this person he's speaking about the person that's standing right next to him?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's painful. This is painful to watch. Because she's just like, still nodding.
Nodding.
Not realizing yet.
Oh, she hasn't yet to realize that he's talking about her?
Right now,
She, like
That's the
realizing
look
that, like,
of
he
realization.
switched from what she thought was affirming to like, sort of lambasting. her
Okay, I went back
message.
10 seconds just to hear that last bit again. Sorry.
This false message that comes from her lips. Because
she
God's
looked right at him
message is
like-
not miracles, but that the shed blood of Jesus Christ would cleanse humble sinners. And when miracles are emphasized, Jesus is denied.
Oh, she yanked
Sir.
the mic back.
Okay, guess what? I didn't say it, they did. You.
Are they at his church?
they are at
No, she has a tent.
It's like
She's
a
one of
tent
those
revival type
tent
meeting
revival.
thing.
Those always turn out
Yeah.
well.
And he's been visiting with his like elders and people. And so he's like, I've been learning all about this.
He's
You
a,
all heard the words that he spoke, and his blood is
They're all yelling, "We rebuke you, Satan."
upon his
Yeah.
hands, not mine. So we thank you, Father God, in Jesus' name. You are rebuked, you are removed from my tent. And if you don't believe in miracles, you will need a miracle one day. Get this on film, because he'll need a miracle one day. And when he needs it, he'll know not to come to my church. No.
Oh, they're-
No.
Yeah, they
This is
are
like right out of a movie. Like
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
these old women, like
are coming
piling
up,
up
and, like,
on him and pushing him
trying
back.
to push him, and he's got his hands in the air. He's lifting up a Bible, pointing to it,
Yeah.
and he's like saying that it's about Christ and not just like miracles. And she says,
No. And when he needs it, he'll know not to come to my church. No.
Okay, she's trying to stop him.
No.
She's trying to stop him.
No. Don't touch him. Don't touch him. Don't touch him. Please be removed from my tent. Please be removed from my tent. Okay, please get out of my tent. Sir, please get out.
out
It's
of my
not me,
tent.
but it's the people that are knowing that this is not going to be allowed.
Hang on.
I like it.
The words she spoke were a little bit
yeah, and
Kamala Harris speechy kind of.
she also said, the blood is on his hands.
he said, She says, his blood is on
Yeah.
his hands.
His blood is on his hands, not
And
mine.
soon,
is that her inciting
ours.
violence?
I
His
think
blood is on his hands.
when she says, someday he's going to need a miracle,
Yeah.
and he's going to know not to come to my church, which is
That is kind of funny 'cause
which
she's
is
kind of-
so like against
Yeah.
the message of Jesus, anyways, right? Like,
Well, also, it's funny that she says that because I'm assuming he's at a place where she's faking miracles. Like,
sure,
one
but
of these
and
places.
she's basically saying like, you're going to need a miracle. I'll have the power to provide one, but I'm not going to.
There's like two levels to it, these two different sides. That yes, you're very right about that, but it's also kind of funny because of what she's saying is, without realizing it, she's saying, if he needs a miracle, don't come here. Because what's funny is like, obviously she isn't performing them.
Yeah.
And so it's like, he would also say the same thing. Like,
Yeah, that's
"Great,
right.
if I do need a miracle, I won't come here.
Yeah.
But she's saying it in it.
But I love the way that he starts off the whole thing. He's like,
Dude.
these people have been nothing but nice, and we have been here, and we
need to be respectful.
We need to be respectful.
and loving.
He
and
was
we need
very
to-
respectful too.
We need to be in deep prayer that Jesus and God would protect everyone from hearing the false message. It's amazing, and she the entire time she's nodding.
She's shaking her head because
Nodding
it's
along.
all good until like he kind of.
Did the minute that he says, like he, says that she's lying or
false
whatever, she
teachings.
just, false teaching, she like turns and looks at him and
Like, am I here?
Yeah.
she starts going,
And she still has the
okay,
mic like
okay.
to him, and is like trying to figure out what's
Yeah.
going on, and then she like tries to rip it away, and he's got his
jerks
hand on
it
it,
away.
trying to finish his statements.
I agree, though. When miracles are emphasized, Christ is diminished, is kind of what he was saying.
Yeah.
Right at the end. When
Right
it was
as the
pulled
mic
away.
gets pulled.
He was trying, yeah.
And if,
I think some good points still carried over the mic,
right.
for sure.
But
He tries to yell
to
them
put
out.
it in scriptural context, like in John chapter 6, one of the miracles that is in all four gospels, which is kind of rare because you have your synoptic gospels, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, and then John is sort of more of a standalone. It tends to be focus a lot more on the preaching of Jesus, but it has the miracle of the feeding of the 5,000. And in it, Jesus feeds the 5,000, and then afterwards he goes away in prayer, and he tells his disciples to meet him, and he walks on water. That's when they see him walking on water because they're straining against the oars, right? Well, they go across. Well, the crowd goes and tries to find you. Like, this crowd has followed Jesus.
Yeah.
They just got fed by Jesus. They finally find him again, and he is talking about, that he's the bread of life. And they say, what miracle can you perform to prove this to us? For instance, they say, Moses gave the people of Israel manna. In other words, they're like, feed us again.
Yeah.
Right? We want a miracle. And then Jesus, rather than giving them a miracle, he tells them a message that drives most of them away. He says, whoever eats my flesh and drinks my blood, they will abide in me and I will abide in them. And that message caused many to be like, well, this is too difficult. Even his closest disciples were like, this is hard. And many of them leave these followers. They didn't get a miracle, right? And so they left, and what they really wanted was, how can you do something to serve me?
Yeah.
And Jesus was trying to emphasize that if you're going to him for something other than him, you're there for the wrong reasons, right? It's about me. Come to me, not because you want something else, but because I'm all you want. And so the ones who remained said, where else can we go? You have the words of life, right? And it's like, we're here not for what you'll give us in terms of miracles, but because from you everything meaningful comes. And it's this really cool parallel I see in this, right?
Yep.
Where this lady is saying, hey, you're coming to me because you need a miracle or you want a miracle. In other words, you don't want the message of Jesus. You don't want Jesus. You want what Jesus will give you or what you think he'll give you. And that's just warped, and it's what's happening, I think, in a lot of our churches. In fact, I was just driving here listening to the fish, and it bothers me so much because it happens all the time. It was one of their advertisers, but they said the message like, hey, do good to others because you'll be surprised how it'll come back to you in surprising ways.
So just
Right?
karma?
Yeah.
Just the idea of karma.
You literally just said karma there, right?
Yeah.
You're turning the message of Jesus into this Eastern
Yeah.
understanding of what goes around comes around.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, do what's right because you're called to do that.
Yeah.
And as an act of worship, you say, I'm going to live my life as you want me to live it, not because I'm going to get something back from it. I may not, but I'm going to do it anyways.
Well, that's real commitment too. Like, that's real service.
Right, but just think about
the understanding that there may or may not at all be a return, and you're doing it entirely out of love.
Exactly.
And duty and responsibility.
Yeah, and the way you treat your relationship, frankly, with Jesus will probably reflect in how you have a relationship with other people. Are you
100%.
going to other people because you just love them and want to be present with them? Or are you going because of what they're doing for you or what you can get from them?
Yeah, and that always, if you're going with the expectation of getting something or wanting something, and so trying to do certain things in order to get that, it always modifies how you treat them, like you're saying, right? Like, it's going to change it's just going to change entirely. Like, there may be opportunities for you to do what's right then, but because you're there hoping for something specific, you may choose not to do that because you think, well, if I do this, I might not get what I want, or you might entirely, to deflect what is right in search of just what you want, which is almost, I mean, as human beings, what we want is way, way too often so far away from what God wants.
But that message that you understand, which is great, that's not the message people are hearing on some of our major Christian network programs, right? People maybe who are unfamiliar with Christianity or only get their Christianity from these sorts of sources are thinking, oh, I need to do this because it'll come back to me.
Yeah.
And it's this total misunderstanding of Christian sacrifice, Christian commitment, Christian obedience. And it's perverse, frankly, and it's I think hurts people in many ways, right? Because then maybe at the end you're like, well, wait a minute, I've been doing all these things and I haven't been getting any of this return.
I think it hurts people tremendously, and why the reason it hurts people so tremendously is because it is not an immediate hurt. It's like this long train of like going and believing something, and then it's like betrayal at the end.
It's these people are like,
it's not
incognito.
Like, it's not one of those lies that somebody believes and then immediately afterward they get hit with a ton of bricks and they're like, oh, ouch. It's like this thing that they believe, and when it's going to hurt them, it's going to hurt them tremendously after years or a long period of time of believing this thing that they believe to be good. And then it's this surreptitious killer in the end.
It's this
super
and then it shallow, feels like
betrayal.
Thin particle board, and they keep putting more and more weight on it because they believe they can trust it. It's like painted to look like stone. Eventually, they put everything into it.
It's a foundation of sand.
Fall right through. And break a rib.
Yeah, I mean, this whole situation, it's something that we were talking about briefly at the Bible study I was at last night. We were talking about how, I mean, it's really easy to say these things, I guess. Well, I guess it's not easy for a lot of people, but this is one of the huge problems in the American church today, like you were saying, is you have so many people who are, when faced with conviction or whatever it is, they're all too uncomfortable with it and they're responding to it incorrectly. And so or you have the people like that, or you have the people that they are not doers of the word, right? And part of the message today at church talked about, is your faith just a tradition, right? Is your faith just there's a Matthew West song called Going Through the Motions, which is something I was thinking about a lot when we were talking about this or at church. But you have believers who are just, or they may not be believers, but they just go to church on Easter, or they go to church occasionally, and they're going and they're having these experiences. And it makes a lot of sense, too, why those people go to the churches that are like the Hillsongs or the Bethels or these big, big churches that are known for things like their worship music, right? Because like you go there and you experience it, and it's this experience. Like you feel this, you're like, oh, this is what God is. This is what being a Christian is all about. Because when I go here, I walk away feeling spiritual. But they have a fundamental misunderstanding, first off, probably what worship even is.
Yeah.
Because to them, worship is like just this music that makes me feel good. But they also walk away with a fundamental misunderstanding of what it means to be a believer and to actually be a doer of the word, right? James tells us to read the word and read it with intention, not just read it, not just listen to it and take it in, but to read it and to study it and to be looking to learn, and then to walk away and not to look at it like a mirror and then forget what we look like, right? To look at it, to read it, to learn it, and then to put it into practice. But
I think worship, one of my big things with worship is that it can become this karmic thing, like you were saying, an Eastern idea of, well, when you really put into worship, you feel good. Generally, I think you feel this good, convicting, like this presence with God, and then you can end up only doing it to feel that way. And it's the exact same way in some of their messages say the exact same thing, which is you put into Christianity because you will be rewarded immediately. It's the karmic idea.
It's really sad. Like this kind of thing. It also,
because Jesus also was like everything. I can't remember the exact verse or the wording for it, but he's telling people to store your treasures in heaven. Mm-hmm. And when you're like paying tithe, to not let your right hand know what your left hand is doing, because everything that you get rewarded for on earth, you will not get rewarded for in heaven. So it's like, it's a difficult thing to do, because like when you're training a dog, like if you're giving them a treat instantly for a thing, or if they get like happiness whenever they're like going into the mud and then come home and be like, oh, hello, hi, and everyone's like happy or whatever. Or if, and then later down the line, they have a punishment, or later down the line, if they do something good, they get a treat. They don't associate it with what just happened, like, or why it's all happening. That it can just be a very easy, it's really like that not
Pavlovian,
but like just sinning. You get short-term benefit because it makes you happy at the moment, and then you won't seek out that happiness when in the long term, whether it's in this life or in the next, like being in heaven or hell, there will be punishment for the wrong stuff that you do. Like, but it's hard to get into the good habit, and it's a hard thing to do because you're not instantly getting gratified like you would doing the other. And when people make all these promises, hey, you're going to get it all in this life and everything's going to be great in this life, that's like just, it's fundamentally like you might, like there's throughout the Bible, we have people that had very prosperous lives because of their service to God and following God, and those that didn't were not. But we also have the exact opposite, that there were entire empires that would rise up, people having all this money, gold, and doing whatever they wanted to do with everything that they have, even though they were pagans sacrificing children. Like,
there are spiritual rewards and earthly rewards, and they're rewarded for their likewise actions. And I think one of the most evil things that's happened is that there are churches convincing people that earthly rewards are what they'll receive for spiritual actions.
Or earthly rewards are what they need and want.
And so
that's what they actually
it points them down a path of earthly actions.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking. I like that sticky statement kind of like idea.
It was a long sticky.
It was, but like I kind of like.
Need to find a way to shorten it down.
It's heartbreaking too. It's especially heartbreaking, I should say, because the people who are doing it, knowing what they're saying is false, obviously are evil. But then you have the people who it breaks my heart to think about, who don't know, or at least, I mean, there's definitely responsibility that falls on them for not trying, not looking into it and really like being intentional with the way they're learning and trying to
but new
put
believers,
what they're learning up against the word, right? But new believers,
and those that this is their only.
That's what we talked about last night. Was like one of the guys in the group. He recently moved out, and he has a roommate now who he is not entirely sure if the guy's saved or not. Maybe like the guy says he is, so he says, "Okay, you're saved. That's great." And he goes, but then he looks at the way the guy lives, and we've been in situations like this. But you look at the guy, the way he lives, and you go, okay, well, he's not living a way that if he didn't tell me he was saved, I would be able to know that, And so he's hoping to be a positive influence and a godly influence. But that discussion with him led us to, when we're reading in James, we were talking about like these churches that are being such terrible examples of what it means to live a godly life. You get these people who, like, what's the number one thing that people who write Christianity off call Christians?
Hypocrites.
Yes. You have these people who, that was beautiful, by the way. Perfectly in sync, the two of you.
You say it at the same time?
Oh, yeah. It was beautiful. I watched your lips move exactly the same time. Beautiful. you have these people, right, who look at the church and they may be ones that like go on Easter, go on Christmas, and that's it, or they may not even be in it at all, and they bounced off of it or whatever because they look at the people who go and they're seeing these people, the ones who are going through the motions, and they're occasionally spouting off, little bits of verses or whatever it is for encouragement and encouragement's sake alone. Or they say, yeah, I go to church. I go to church. Okay, why do you go to church? Well, because it's it's what I do. It's tradition or whatever. But then the way they live is entirely contrary to it. And so then, yeah, you have these people who are unbelievers or who are whatever that that's the reason that they're entirely convinced that Christians are hypocrites. That's the way they write them off. It's because the people that they have seen that go to church or that are in their family are people who are like, yeah, they go to church, they hear this message about living a certain way, and then they watch these people and they watch what they do when they think they're alone, or they think that it's just the two of us, we can trust each other to know what we do, and it's entirely contrary to what the Bible says. And it's really sad because it does such a huge disservice to the church. And some of the people that are doing such a huge disservice to the church aren't even people that are out and that are scoffers or whatever that are speaking against it. They're people that are proclaiming to be of the church and are doing some of the most harm. And it's very sad. It breaks my heart because you have these people who, for whatever reason, whether the responsibility is entirely on them because they're not studying the word up against what their teachers are telling them, or if it's all the fault is entirely on these false teachers, it's for whatever reason they don't know better. And at the very least, nobody's telling them right now, and they're not finding out for themselves. And so they're entirely duped and fooled. And it's sad.
Yeah. And for some of these things with the false teachers, I find, because there's not much that we can, reasonably do, lawfully do.
Wait, what?
Wait, what? Is that about the Crusades again, Levi?
No. But just vengeance is the Lord's, and He's told us that people that lead His flock astray and false teachers will be judged more harshly, and it's better for them to have a millstone wrapped around their neck and dropped into the ocean. So
what are you saying?
Oh, that
round up some millstones.
I know a couple false teachers here in Salem, Levi.
I get I get angry at situations like these that are people that are, whether they're purposefully doing it or not, which they're probably doing it purposefully if they're in most of these positions, or they're
the ones that are in lucrative positions. Yeah. It's hard to say they're not doing it out of intention.
We can't judge their intentions of what they're doing, but we can see the result of them leading people astray, giving people false knowledge and understanding of Christianity and Jesus and our entire faith fundamentally, that is driving people away. And if it's not inherently driving people away, it's making people that do believe they have all these promises, and then as those promises don't get fulfilled, it just shuts them down and it causes them to drift other people away. Yeah. If that makes sense for my brand.
You said we can't judge their intentions. We don't know their intentions, but we can 100% judge their actions.
We can judge their actions.
And I think if there's one thing we can learn from this video, and also from the Bible, we should 100% be bold.
Yeah.
And should be speaking out against it. We shouldn't be hateful, and we shouldn't be seeking to harm these people, obviously.
No.
Levi was saying, but
that's what I'm saying.
I'm joking. But no, you're right. I mean, but I think what this guy did is an incredible example. We should 100% be bold in speaking out against it, right? It's all we can do, right?
Right.
Yeah.
No?
We need to be offering a corrective. And in this particular case, this person knew, obviously, that members of his congregation were present.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he was a preacher who, there's a really cool scene in the movie called The Patriot with Mel Gibson.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And in that, at one time, the pastor of the church shows up And he's like, all right, I'm about to go and fight. And he says, I'm called to be a shepherd of my flock, which means at times I must fend off the wolves. And I always like that. Now that's
Jude,
like
there's wolves at the door.
Yeah, that was like he was going to go, fight the redcoats or whatever.
Yeah.
But the idea is, if you are a shepherd, the funny thing is in Psalm 23, we think about the staff, but we forget about the rod, because he has both. And the rod was meant to bludgeon those who would threaten his sheep, while the staff was meant to guide his sheep.
And both are meant to comfort us.
And both are meant to comfort
Which
us,
I think is
right?
important.
But this idea that now that doesn't mean always going and confronting them in their tents. The only reason he went to the tent was because his sheep were there.
Yeah.
And if it says in Psalm 23, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. And yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, you are with me. In other words, this is a shepherd that follows us and is with us. And in this particular case, is actually guiding us through those dark times. But this is a pastor as an analog. I mean, that's how God works with us. Here's a pastor who says, if I'm going to be a shepherd like that, where I'm going to take my guidance from God, then I'm going to go and protect my sheep from this false message. And he's doing it in a way he says, look, I'm not going to hit you. I'm not even going to yell at you. I'm going to love you and pray that people would be protected against your false message, so that the message of Jesus and his dying for the sins of the world would not be diminished by the things that you're pursuing. And so that's great. But guess what? In the pulpit, you got to do that too.
Yeah.
So not just in their tent, but in your tent too. You need to be able to address some of the ills that are taking hold of the sheep today, right? So there's lots of things that people are believing, not just theologically, but there are lots of things that are pervasive in the thoughts and the minds of people, whether it is societal, cultural, political. There are a lot of things that are dangerous against the message of Christianity that we ought to be more bold about speaking. And rather than saying, you know what, I feel like I might offend somebody, ask yourself this: who are you offending? Are you offending the people who've got it wrong? Cool. That's who you ought to be offending, right?
Yeah.
Truth can be offensive, especially to those who are believing falsehood. And if the falsehood is dangerous, then all the more to confront it, right?
Right.
And we're not always, recently my wife was telling me about an experience of one of her friends. I'm not going to name any names, but, they were at a church and she was afraid to talk about abortion in her own church because of all the divide there. What?
Yeah.
What? Like, you ought to be able to talk about abortion in church, right? And if there is a general sense that, a lot of people are for it here and a lot of people, my goodness, then that is an opportunity for the pastor to get up and say, I feel we need to confront something in this congregation because people are believing something that, now that's your passage there where Jesus says, anyone who causes one of these little ones to stumble, it would be better for them to have a millstone tied around their neck and to be thrown into a lake and drowned. Jesus took very, very seriously the position of responsibility that adults have with children. Right? It's one thing to lead them astray. How much worse do you think it is to kill them? Right? Which we're doing in wholesale numbers here.
Yeah.
It's this sort of genocidal infanticide that we are just sort of saying, well, it's a difference of opinion.
Well, I mean, the world, its mission right now, almost, it seems, well, it is to ruin childhood, both before it starts, right? Well, as it's starting, I should say.
Right.
And well into its childhood, like with everything that's going on. I mean, if politically, right, with the whole trans movement.
Oh, in terms of hormones and
well, I mean, look
and
at
transition.
They're doing
surgery.
they're doing more. Also, not just killing children right before they're born, but the world is actively attacking children and mutilating them. With surgery and hormones and all that. So the thing that's really tragic is, like, I saw a clip recently of. Well, I use this term very loosely, but a pastor who was in front of a church and he, was welcoming a drag queen onto to the pulpit or whatever, and they're giving this display. And there's a bunch of kids in the front row who he invited there, and he's talking about how, oh man, now it's failing me what he said specifically, but it was so. Oh, what was it? I'll have to find the clip maybe and play
This
for
is
you
how
later.
a nation dies with thunderous applause or something.
No, he says to the kids, I want you to watch this, and I want you to tell me what's so special about this person. And what was ironic as well and terrible is that this, drag queens have like names, some special show names or whatever. The show name used was something actually blasphemous, like it was a play on some biblical word, and I don't remember what it is now. Jeez. Maybe I shouldn't have brought this up if I can't remember any of the specific details.
My name is Jezebel Delilah.
No, it was like some word. I don't remember. I can't believe I don't remember it. But he's talking about this drag queen that's on there and doing dancing or whatever. And he's like, now kids, what's special, is how, man, I just kept talking, hoping it would come to me. I really don't remember what he says. It's horrible. Now I need to find it.
Sounds horrible. Yeah. For
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Thanks, man. I'll find it.
So horrible.
So bad
each
you
other.
repressed it.
I did.
That's
yeah.
what happened.
Interesting. I mean, yeah, you don't. It's just there is no reason for something like that. But we live presently in a culture that is taking advantage of our most vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
It's,
and
it is something that Christians need to be
trying to do loopholes to keep it away from the parents' knowledge even until it's too late in certain cases.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? Some of the good that has come from that is, I teach in the private sector, right? And and enrollment is up. A lot of parents are beginning to say, you know what, like, we can't be in the public system anymore. It's too dangerous for our kids because we don't get enough influence in their life. And schools, public schools, are going out of their way to say, like, hey, we have to work against parents, right? We have to, when we have this opportunity to indoctrinate children, then we better do our best with it. All right, you found it?
I got to pull it up on my computer, though. But no, what you're talking about, it's incredibly sad. Sorry. I will
Just
pull it
waiting
up.
on you, man. You're taking your sweet time.
No, there was something you were saying that I was actually... Oh, it's what you're saying is that's actually something that we've talked about on this podcast recently, is how the state of, like, the public school system, it's never necessarily been very good. I mean, because you're to renew my...
Are you going to play?
Yeah, I'm going to. But and if there's something from this clip that I don't remember being horribly inappropriate that he says, I had to get the clip from a Matt Walsh clip where he's reacting to it. So hopefully he doesn't add any commentary in here we don't need.
Okay.
That's where I saw it.
Oh, no. I mean, I'm sure guy in the chair can fix it.
He is fairly inept, but he should be able to figure it out.
What a dummy, that guy in the chair.
No. We've just talked about this recently, and it's something I'm very passionate about. And it's sad, right? There's a lot of parents who are in a situation where they can send their kids to a school that they know will edify their children, biblically. But I want to do whatever I can to make sure the people that need to get their kids somewhere like that. That's very important to me. But,
and
all right,
the people that need to is everyone.
Yes.
Do either of you have any questions from?
Can you hear that?
Yeah.
So these, right now, this is some guy. Now, I don't know what type of church this is, but there's a cross in the background. It's not a Catholic church, I can tell you that.
But he's wearing elegant robes.
Oh, yeah. It
Looks a little Christian Science-y to me.
Wearing pink and purple robes, and there are two kids sitting on the stage, and they're talking to a drag queen.
Miss Pentecost?
Oh, that's what it is.
Miss Pentecost?
Pentecost.
Pentecost?
Miss Pentecost. That's the blasphemous name that they use.
Interesting.
Very good.
Yeah, very
Get
good.
it. Yeah, this is probably a Presbyterian church.
That's, I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. You like her eyeshadow. That's great. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe she'll let you borrow it when you're older, when you're allowed to wear makeup. Yeah.
First of all,
How
I just don't like kids.
ironic is this?
What?
What's the irony?
Oh,
Showing
hang
these
on.
children a grown man dressed scantily clad as a woman,
Mm-hmm.
and he says, maybe you can borrow her makeup when you're old enough to wear it. Is that not insane? Is that not crazy that he jokingly says to the crowd, when you're old enough to wear it, like, hey, I
as
don't want
if,
to
like,
step on any
there are
parents.
some moral
I don't want to step on any parents' toes about
Yeah.
when this child is allowed to wear
That's
makeup.
true.
Anyway, continue interviewing Miss Pentecost.
It's funny that you point out irony, because the biggest thing of irony in this entire situation has yet to arrive. This preacher is about to use a verse to defend what's going on right here.
Galatians
And
3:28. That's
the
my prediction.
verse is in direct opposition to this.
Oh,
Appetition.
let's see.
Opposition. And I remember what it is now.
I did see.
It is, you'll see.
I mean,
Of course. Yeah. Well, one of the things I think is great about Miss Pentecost is she reminds us that we follow a God who calls us to not conform to things of this world. That we're supposed to
See?
Oh, wow.
It's not over yet. The verse used,
Whoa.
this is the poster example, right? Of conforming to the world. And this
So-
guy's like,
This is a great
This-
example of what Satan did. And this is
Yeah.
why in
Yeah.
the field of sort of biblical understanding, some scholars make a distinction between biblical and scriptural. He's quoting the Bible.
yeah.
But he's not being scriptural.
Yep.
Because he is intentionally misusing a verse in order to affirm his sort of pre.
Well, people do it all the time, too.
Oh, absolutely.
But
But that's what Satan did to
I despise-
Jesus during his temptation, right? All right, go ahead.
be transformed by the renewal of our minds. And that means that what I think today may have to change tomorrow if I continue to renew my mind. And it's so cool that we serve a God that calls us to continue to grow and continue to change into something new, and to not be bound by the ways that the world confines us sometimes, that we're supposed to live differently.
Is it just me or does this person sound so much like Jude? I can't. It's surreal.
Miss Pentecost or the preacher?
Oh, sorry. We're back to Matt Walsh. You don't want to hear his beautiful voice, I'm sure.
Oh, no. Miss Pentecost, good jawline. I mean,
For a man, yeah.
solid, yeah, for a guy.
We're not hearing her though, or him,
We
or
did
whatever
for-
it
we
is.
did
Whatever
For a
it is.
minute.
May have to.
Thank you.
Right there.
Oh,
Oh, thank you.
oh, wow.
Yeah, that wasn't
sounds
a
more
clown
like
that
me.
ran onto the stage.
Okay.
I mean, it sounds like Bogo the clown. Or whatever.
No, that's just,
Sad.
yeah. To kind of mash together these two topics, or these related topics we've been talking about, with the false teachers and, attack on children, right? This is the perfect example of both in one video. And he's also horribly misquoting scripture and using it to his own. That's all right. We've got a stellar editor. Horribly misrepresenting, just teaching very poorly and lying, right? I mean, it's really difficult for me to assume that he's doing anything other than being intentional, right? Because he's got to be really dumb, really lost to believe that verse that says, do not be conformed to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, right? he then defines that as being different because the world wants you to trap you in a box and all this stuff. When no, the world is the one that wants you to be this way. The world is the one that wants you to make no sense and to be completely counter to God's creation and God's will. And he's over here like, well, as if the world is out here trying to confine you to God's will or something like that. Like, and then he's like, no, don't do that. It's disgusting, man. It's absolutely disgusting.
It just, if that's the reasoning, it justifies a lot of pretty terrible behavior.
That some of these, no, never mind. I can say that. Yeah. Sorry. Not to get speculative or anything, but I don't like thinking that how close this example of sin is to real terrible sexual misconduct, how much children are being incorporated into it.
Yeah.
That is what makes me sick. Like all of it. I mean, it makes me sick that he's horribly butchering God's word, and he has a significantly massive church, and so he's lying to all these people and completely pushing them the entirely wrong direction. That's sickening. It makes me want to throw up. But man, how wrapped up this sin is in sexual immorality and the fact that they so deeply want children involved makes me so sick. What was it you said about having a millstone around your neck earlier?
Yeah.
It doesn't surprise me at all that the example that was used in was about children.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they're so innocent for the most part. I mean,
well, until you have children.
Yeah. No, but it's just...
I can tell you definitively, one of the things that you see when you have children is that you don't have to teach them how to sin.
Oh, I understand.
They figure that out all
What?
the time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just mean
not.
that they're sponges for knowledge.
No, they are.
And
But
learning.
they're vulnerable.
And they're entirely
they
vulnerable.
are easy to manipulate and take advantage of. And so
think about the people that are evil right now, that are their entire like manifesto or whatever is so wrapped up in like children, right? The life of children. Yeah. It makes so much sense because how vulnerable children are, how easy they are to manipulate. Of course they're going to build their entire basis of doctrine off of children. One of the easiest things to manipulate, or people groups or demographics to manipulate, is this whole group of people who are so easy to manipulate. Sorry to repeat myself, but
yeah, and they're easy to manipulate.
Yeah, I just get, I don't like it.
Fired up.
Makes me very sad.
Yeah.
So are we going to get to Jude's time travel?
No, probably not.
Here's how I'm going to fix everything.
Jude has figured out how to
Fix
perfect and narratively perfect time travel in a very interesting way.
Literally.
I feel like I would destroy whatever it is that you're going to say about time travel. I despise time travel. I can't even watch movies with time travel.
I know you've made it
too much.
Over my entire course of knowing you, evidently clear. I believe you will eviscerate whatever cool fictional narrative idea I have and how it actually works in the real world.
It is cool, but Jude would like to talk about it on the podcast sometime. But because we've got one 45-minute clip, a 9-minute clip, and another 45-minute clip of this episode, maybe we'll cut it short.
Here's how I'm going to fix the Pentecost dilemma, as we'll call it. Wait.
Yeah.
Pentecost? Yeah, that's her name. It's their name. It's his name.
Yeah, whatever. Hey, don't apologize. It's ridiculous.
No, I'm not apologizing. I'm frustrated.
Yeah. Are you going to... You said, here's how I'm going to do something, and then said...
Oh, gosh, we were talking about time travel. I thought it was a bit. Like,
Yeah, that was the bit.
I mean, I could think of a
Sorry, it
few
wasn't
fixes,
funny.
but I'm still working on a biblical one.
I thought you were about to like wrap everything up in a nice summary and give us something there at the end.
Hey, a lot of people, the idea of karmic spirituality, where you get for what you get rewards for what you give on earth especially, and these slow and then eventually rapidly steep steps into like sexual deviancy in the church. a lot of people start out with really, really loose threads that Satan pulls on. And it's very easy when they're just threads, I think, for us fellow strong Christians to cut them before the break and really set people straight. And if you don't, it can lead to this. So when you start to see those little threads, those little pieces of string, and then maybe start to get pulled and become this long knot, you got to cut it off at the pass.
I would say as well, for those of us who are passionate about this and we're able to look at situations like that first clip and or, you know, just the church as a whole, and we're pointing out these problems with it and how people are just rapidly sprinting away from God's will and God's word. If we do want to be at all effective in doing what's right, we have to know the word, and we cannot just be needlessly, or not needlessly, but like make guesswork of what we're trying to say, to be like, well, there's this verse somewhere that I think says this, and it's something that I'm very much guilty of, but we have got to know the word, because it's entirely ineffective to try and defend it and to try and defend God's word when we are making guesswork of it. So we must be in it, and we must be reading it with intent. We cannot just be passively listening and even reading. Like an example I thought of when talking about this at a Bible study, I was like, when you go to church, this is an experience I had as a kid or like a young teenager. You go to church and a Christian school, and so often you're being told to read your Bible, right? And which of course you should. But then you go and do it, and you're like, well, where do I start, or what? You know, it's like, okay, I'm doing it. Here I am. I open up my Bible and I'm on whatever, this place and this verse, and then it's like, nothing's speaking to me. I'm learning nothing. It's because you're going without intent. You must be there with intention, and you must be there to learn, and you must be there looking for God's will in your life. And then to then just read it and turn around and do nothing about it is entirely effectiveless. I mean, it's pointless. To then read and to learn and to walk away and then do nothing about it it's stupid. I mean, James says that your religion is worthless, right? When you do that. So read with intention and learn, and we can't just sit here and talk about doing this. We need to go home, and we need to open up our Bibles, and we need to read. We need to spend time tonight praying, and we need to do the same thing tomorrow and the day after. Or else we're going to be entirely ineffective in tearing this version that's the rest of the world is seeing of the church, this frivolous, stupid, colorful, ridiculous lie that the rest of the world is seeing and going, oh, look at those stupid Christians. This is what they believe. Or, I mean, they're laughing at it. And it entirely makes light of God and his sacrifice. So,
also, for those listening that listened to the last episode where we talked about wanting to talk about what we learned in at church, like the day before, like right before we're recording, we did have it sprinkled out throughout this entire thing. Like if you were there, you could like hear key phrases from the thing.
If you were at church with us?
Yeah, if you had listened to the sermon, you could recognize that there were a lot of times that we were bringing up themes from the sermon in today's recording. So just that we didn't like entirely skip over that.
Yeah, well, and also not only to just say like, hey, if you were there, which basically none of you listening were, so none of you know what Levi's talking about. Also, I think there's something to learn in that, right? If you're not going to church and you're not actually, surrounding yourself in the church and in God's word, right?
Yeah,
you're less
and
effective.
applying.
And this is applying. This is a good example of, I think, what Levi's saying is we are calling back on things that we recently learned, right? And without having gone to church and recently and learning and worshiping God and glorifying Him, and we may not have these things on our mind, and we may not be as prepared to talk about something like this, right?
Yeah.
And also, if you're listening and since you don't go to our church, that sucks because you don't recognize those little phrases from that sermon.
Yeah.
Get on our level.
Yeah. Can't agree.
Yeah. All right. Is there anything else? I think it was a good episode.
Yeah, decent job, guys.
Thanks, man.
Way to pull it together. Jude, I need you to end with something profound. Go.
You're real quiet there, Matt.
Jude, I need you to end with something profound.
I think he already did.
I've said so many
No.
profound things.
Just say only say the profound thing. Go.
Something profound. Here you go.
Go on.
Jude, go.
I'm all out.
I like that.
That was
I actually really like that.
Yeah, that is.
That was incredible.
It's a thinker, but with enough time, I think I think
Kind of full of it.
No, not you ruined it.
Yeah.
I'm kind of full of it.
All right, everybody. We love you very much. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Roll the outro.
I end the program by saying, you've made this day a special day by just your being you. There's no person in the whole world like you, and I like you just the way you are.
That's a good one.